Distinguished participants, speakers, dear organizers, allow me first to introduce myself. My name is Eviskar Andrea, and I am the General Director of the Catholic University Our Lady of Good Counsel. Considering my past experience in the telecom sector, I am very pleased to have received the invitation from the organizers and to be here today to facilitate the discussion in this very important session, Connectivity and Infrastructure of this Third Tirana Economic Forum. Distinguished previous speakers, Commissioner Varhelyi, Their Excellencies, ambassadors and ministers, addressed the importance of connectivity and digital transformation for post-pandemic recovery, sustainable economic growth of Albania and the Western Balkans, and their European integration. In this session, we are going to address connectivity and infrastructure with our distinguished leaders and speakers. Allow me to introduce them to you. We have here with us today Ms. Bidgen Aldan, CEO of Al Telecom.
Hello.
Welcome, Ms. Aldan. We have here with us today Mr. Elvin Guri, CEO of Empower Capital Advisors. Welcome, Mr. Guri. We're waiting for Mr. Guri to connect. Welcome, Mr. Guri.
Hi.
We have here with us Mr. Achilleas Kanaris, the Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Albania. Welcome, Mr. Kanaris.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And we have Mr. Dmitry Pankin, President and CEO of the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank. Welcome, Mr. Pankin.
Thank you. It's a big pleasure to see you.
The session will last for 25 minutes. I will kindly invite our distinguished speakers to make their remarks for a time of 4 to 5 minutes. And if time permits, we can have a small question and answers and closing session. I'd like to make a few introductory remarks. COVID-19 has laid bare the realities that underpin our economies, with the key lesson that not being connected to the internet increasingly means missing out employment opportunities, education, healthcare, public services, and information. Evidence emerging from research done by the International Telecommunications Union suggests that countries with robust connectivity can mitigate up to half of the negative impacts resulting from the pandemics. To discuss on such important themes and the importance of investments on connectivity and infrastructure and its impact on the economic growth and post-pandemic recovery, I will start by inviting to make her remarks and to share with her perspective Ms. Bidgen Aldan, the CEO of Al Telecom.
Thank you, Ms. Evis. I want to share my perspective, if it's possible. Let's see. Can you see? Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, then I can start. Thank you for having me here. I'm very honored to be here. This is my first time, apparently, in Tirana Economic Forum. Thank you for the organizers to asking me to join here. Since I'm new to the country, first of all, I want to introduce myself, a quick remark. I'm the new CEO of Telecom. It's been less than a month I've been here in Albania, and it was a very good pleasure for me. For a quick intro about myself, to give some hints about the future, I have more than 20 years of experience in various digital industries, not only in telecommunications, but also in banking, e-commerce, which is widely discussed in the morning, gaming, digital media, startups, and entrepreneurship. I'm very honored to be here again with the distinguished gentlemen of the businessmen of the country. As mentioned in the morning sessions, COVID times are still affecting our lives, not only in health perspective, but also in business perspectives. It's a broader change for everybody. And of course, I was not here last year, but I can emphasize, like all of us in all globe, it was a challenging year for businesses and telecommunications industry as well. Today, I want to mention some of the foundations of our company that can help enlighten our future. So I want to share some numbers with everybody here. Telecom, being the historical brand of Albania, is the biggest internet provider in the country. And most of the internet consumed in Albania is provided by us. I value the broader perspectives that are discussed in the morning, mostly about the broadband future of the country, and we will be the biggest collaborators of those. In 2020, to support our consumers and customers, we were providing free internet not only in the fixed side, but also in the mobile side and the distance learning part. We have around 4,000 kilometers of fiber, which is the biggest network in the country, and around 40,000 fiber lines with GPON, and we are still building in all over the country. For the last year, if I can steal precious moments of your time, I want to thank to the field operations teams, which done amazing job in health crisis in COVID times, which tried to backbone every one of the connections for the consumers. Of course, not only having the international network, we should connect our networks to the borders. We have 8 cross-border connections, which includes Greece, Italy, Kosovo, and Montenegro. We are also connecting our consumers to the content, to the entertainment by being the biggest IP provider in the country and being the first to provide one. This slide is very important for me because not only being in the biggest employer in telco sector in Albania, we believe in diversity with 60% of women working in our workforce, 43% in management levels, and apparently a CEO of women in leading roles as me. So if I come to the pandemic, I think the morning sessions were very fruitful and very transformative, but I wanted to mention a single data, which is, I think, enlightening the future for all of us. In a very short time period, the increase in the consumer broadband was more than 40%, and it's increasing more in terms of connectivity and the usage. If we check 2019 figures of AKEP, the Albanian internet household penetration was around 60s. This year, we expect this number to go up. With this 40% is going upward more. In this scenario, as telco operators, our role is critical. We will be digitalizing and facilitating the life of Albanians in a more digitalized and transformative way. And when I say this, I don't only emphasize the infrastructural way that we are working collaboratively with all stakeholders, but in different aspects of the life as well. I want to give a very quick example from Turkey, which is my home country, about the gaming. If you now, in this moment, check the top charts of the world, which are the mobile games, you will see in the top 10, 5 of them are built, published, and produced by Turkish game studios, and they are served to the global citizens of the world, not only locally. What is this mentioning to us? Digital worlds are not local, they are also global, they are also regional, and we are living in the young generation of Albania to be a game changer in this perspective, not only in the infrastructure side, but also in the application side. That's why we are believing in the super generation to be a game changer, and we are ready to support in all sense, not only in the infrastructure level, but also in the software level to support everybody that's possible. We have more than 100 years history in Albania, and we will continue to connect Albanians in the country with the world, working towards a digital operator vision for the upcoming years. Thank you for having me here. Let me finish.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aldan, for your very interesting presentation, highlighting the contribution your company is making in investments, in connectivity, and in digitalizing the Albanian economy. I'd like now to pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Elvin Guri, the CEO of Empower Capital Advisors, to address his remarks on how we can accelerate investments in infrastructure and what are the opportunities and the challenges that the pandemic is bringing for the operators, for his company and for the sector. Thank you, Mr. Guri. The floor is to you.
Thank you very much. My background in private equity is of slightly less relevance here for the purposes of this panel. But a bit more relevant is the fact that I am the majority owner of One Telecommunications, the second largest mobile operator in the country. The company, especially during the past 2 years, has undergone a great transformation. Partially because of the change of ownership, but partially also because of the challenges that the pandemic forced on us. Operating in a very dynamic market with very strong competitors forced the company to also take a very hard and close look at itself. Now we are operating in times where there are a few global challenges to connectivity. 5G, extending broadband to as a human right to all locations, all around the country. These are challenges that require not just the engagement of the whole industry, but also engagement of a large number of other stakeholders, from financing institutions to government, regulators, and society at large. We, as an industry today in Albania, are operating in a market that is still developing, where purchasing power is rather low, increasing but still quite low, and therefore find ourselves quite challenged when it comes to thinking about the longer-term investment challenges that the industry has and that the country and the market require. Even so, I'm happy to share that as far as our company is concerned, we've managed to overhaul through a very extensive capital expenditure plan both the hardware infrastructure of our business, and we're doing the same for the software infrastructure of the company. That we are convinced will make the company more flexible and more capable to respond to challenges of the market and of the competition, but also to be able to offer new products to our market. Being a mobile-only company, also unlike the rest of the industry, also requires us to keep a laser focus on the main and the only business that we have. That means that we continue to engage very heavily with the regulators, with the government, in order to be able to address those challenges that the market offers on time and within certain budgets that are acceptable for the industry. One of the biggest challenges, for instance, that we see in the medium-term future for the country is that the introduction of 5G would require case studies, use cases, in order to allow the industry to justify the cost of the investment. This I see as one of the challenges for the next couple of years that will engage the industry, it will engage the regulator, it will engage also financial institutions. In a market like ours, small, still developing, the presence of international financial institutions, such as the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank, and their support for large-scale infrastructure, transformational investments in infrastructure and in digital infrastructure in particular, are extremely important for the viability of those projects. With that, I'd like to conclude, and I'd happily address any questions later in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guri, for your speech and highlighting the transformation of your company and the challenges the sector is facing. I'd like now to pass the floor to Mr. Achilleas Kanaris, the Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Albania, to share with us his perspective. Welcome, Mr. Kanaris.
Thank you very much. I won't spend time introducing Vodafone. I guess we're a very well-known company, both in Albania, but also globally. Just to stress that over the last 18 years of operation, we have made a significant foreign direct investment in the country and continue to do so, upgrading our infrastructure and expanding our product portfolio beyond mobile into the fixed space and also the software space. I wanted to start my 5 minutes by putting on the table a few customer insights that we have, I would say, hot off the press, because we have made several studies over the course of the pandemic crisis to see how customers and businesses are changing, are reinventing themselves, and how habits are changing. So, and these are also, fantastic news because they are a testament, if you like, of the real change that is occurring in this country as well as obviously globally, and the shift towards digitalization. So consumers are telling us that more and more reliable and fast connectivity is a core component, if you like, of their everyday lives. And how much they have appreciated the use of technology in keeping their lives going, if you like, during the times of COVID. From a business perspective, businesses have also seen a tremendous amount of change. Unfortunately, Albania being a cash-based society and economy, the businesses were totally unprepared, let's say, for what happened, especially in the SOHO SME segment. And now are more appreciative, if you like, of the need to change, the need to digitalize, and the need to become more resilient. So this points, if you like, or confirms, if you like, the need for change and the need for digitalization. The other good news is that the government and the state also is embracing digitalization more and more. So this is in focus, let's say. But I'll stop here because I also have some not so great news, if you like, to share. And in my opinion, the thing that I would like to raise in this panel and in front of the guests is, the speed by which we are transforming in the country. As a global business, we benefit from having oversight of many markets across Europe and the rest of the world. And what I have to testify is that the speed by which other countries, particularly in Western Europe, are progressing and are exploiting, if you like, the back end of this crisis to transform their societies and the way they run their businesses are ahead of Albania and possibly the rest of the Western Balkans. Initiatives are underway, investments are underway, and industry and government are working very closely together, if you like, to exploit this opportunity. So if there's one alarm that I would want to raise, if you like, with you today is the fact that we need to pace it up. We need to speed up, if you like, the execution of change in the country. From our point of view, what do we need? Number one, I think we need a clear focus and a lot of prioritization around infrastructure investments. It's very important for Albania to make the next steps in terms of infrastructure connectivity. And there are two things there. One is 5G. We need to accelerate the deployment of 5G in the country. Other countries are not even experimenting anymore. It's live. The services are live, and they're not far from Albania in terms of location, if you like. And also, we need to up our game in next generation access network deployment across the country. That will secure, if you like, digital infrastructure and digital connectivity through and through, which for me, it's the basis upon which you can then start building a digital economy. Number two is we need an open dialogue with the state on how to ensure the economics, if you like, of such investments pay off. And I think Mr. Guri talked about that. I second basically what he's saying. We really need to sit down as an industry with the state to make sure that, we commit ourselves to investments, but also we are sure that we are ensured, if you like, of the viability and the longevity, if you like, of those investments. And this is a mix of both regulation as well as commitment. Lastly, there is a big piece of work that we need to do in order to, and this is both from a state but also from a private sector point of view, to upskill the society with digital skills, particularly on the SOHO and SME segment, which is the heart of Albania's economy. There's a lot of lack of understanding, if you like, of digital technologies. And therefore, we need to work side by side to try to educate the market to understand that actually digital technologies are not that complex. They're not that expensive, and they can really help transform consumers as well as businesses. We as Vodafone can take the lead, if you like, in this respect, and we bring a lot of know-how as a global business, as a global technology, let's say, company in the market, and we are willing and would welcome, if you like, initiatives in this direction. And with that, I will pause and I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Canaris, for highlighting in your speech the need for change, digitalization, and especially speeding up the pace with which such change needs to be made. I'd like now to invite Mr. Pankin, the President and CEO of the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank, to share his thoughts on the investment potential and the financing opportunities with regard to connectivity and networks and digitalization. The floor to you, Mr. Pankin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For development bank, especially question of infrastructure connectivity, really very important. And for Albania as a small country, I think regional connectivity, this is a kind of top priority, and regional infrastructure, of course, it will be a very important part. But I will not share you our success. I will explain, maybe try to explain why we failed to start any infrastructure project in Albania. We tried many times. It was a lot of discussion and a lot of attempts, but no one was not realized. So what kind of reason? Maybe I think it's really important to understand why it was not possible for us to realize this project. I think first of all, of course, there is some geographical constraint. Traffic is not very big, so there is some basic problem with infrastructure, and especially if return on infrastructure project. But this is a normal. What is more important for us, all development institutions require procurement, clear procurement procedure, open procurement procedure, international standard of procurement. And this is a big problem in all our project in Albania. So this is procurement issue every time in all countries. This is a problem, especially in Western Balkans, but in Albania it was again a serious problem that we couldn't overcome. Second point I would like to mention, this is of course a problem with government authority. Sometimes priority are shifting. Sometimes government is changing and they have different priority. So for us it was difficult to have let's say strong, stable communication and strong support from government in some project. Maybe in other Balkan countries it looks a little bit better. Again, maybe I would like to mention, especially for Albania and especially for energy project, problem is that lack of historical data. If you are starting project in hydroelectricity, in solar electricity, question is you need long history of database. And this is a problem in Albania to find this history of database. So again, this was one of the reasons. And maybe finally, but not least, question is, in order to start serious infrastructure project, we need good feasibility study. In order to have good feasibility study, we need to spend some initial money. And this is a problem for municipality, for local authority. That's why I think we need to think how to manage to attract technical assistance facility for project preparation. And for example, for this year, we started our technical assistance fund in our bank. And so I think we will be ready to provide some technical assistance for local authority in Balkan country in order to prepare some infrastructure project in our countries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pankin. I'd like to thank you very much for highlighting especially the areas of need for government support, the application of international standards of procurement, and the need for technical assistance also at a local level, which is important for the application of financing and financial support in the field of networks, connectivity, energy, etc. Well, I would like to close up now by thanking all the participants and the speakers in our panel, Ms. Aldan, Mr. Guri, Mr. Canaris, and Mr. Pankin, for sharing with us their perspective and wishing them and their companies success in the important contribution and role they continue to play in the transformation of our economies through the power of connectivity and digitalization. I wish you all a good continuance of the remainder of the forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.